coffee.
Yeah, good morning. Welcome to episode 2 of Coffeehouse. We're excited this morning to make a little bit of Sumatra.
That's right, we got Sumatra. It's a dark roast. Some of the tasting notes: pine, cedar, tart, and green pepper. So it'll be interesting to see if we can get any of those. I'm feeling today I'm doubtful on the green pepper.
That one especially.
Green pepper is the chocolate.
If I didn't taste chocolate in that, I definitely will not taste green pepper. And I like green pepper. It's good. We went ahead and already ground up the coffee because it was very loud last time, and to make sure we got some good audio going on.
That's right.
On our last video, Blake Rose left a comment, and he gave us a lot of really great ideas about topics of discussion. And so, what I think I want to talk about today is sponsorship. We're going to talk about teams, like how a player becomes sponsored, what companies look for, what you can do if you're interested in becoming sponsored, and all the kind of hang-ups you'll have if you're, if you're trying your best to get sponsored and it's not happening, or just whatever else. So just give a lot of context from a business side and an ownership side and a team side of how things go down. And so Blake, thank you for the comment. And I want to say, guys, if you could leave a comment, that would mean a lot. Chad and I are just now getting started, and it helps a lot just to have that kind of conversation going on down below the video. And once again, that's really what this series is about, is a conversation. And so to include, it's not just between you and me and him, it's about all of us. And in the comments below, I'd love to see some conversations going on. It's not just at the video, it's with each other. And so if you guys just leave a comment if you're enjoying the video, or if you want to talk about something, and if you want to jump in on others and talk about it, we'd love that, because that's what it's about.
Absolutely. And so I forgot the spoon yet again this week, but we're good to go. Could you throw 4 minutes on the clock for our French press, and then
4 minutes on the clock.
Yep.
Starting.
Boom. 4
Now.
minutes. All right.
Yeah, so
sponsorship.
Sponsorship. It is a hot topic. I know a lot of people really love the idea of being sponsored. Tell me why that's not a great thing.
I don't know.
You were sponsored on Kendamas.
Yeah, I was sponsored for 2 years, 2013, 14, 15, that span. And
talk about...
at the basic level...
I want to know how you got on Kenco first.
Yeah, so kendama at the very base level is fun. You try it for the first time, and you like it, and you want to do it more. And so I was with a group of friends that I learned kendama with, and we challenged each other through games of ken, and we went to our own fair share of competitions, and we just constantly pushed each other to be better kendama players. If there's a trick they could achieve, I wanted to be able to also land that trick.
Right.
And so kendama for me, learning from the beginning on, just getting better and better, we started making videos on YouTube, and we kind of had a team, and all three of us would meet up, film, and companies host contests. It was really popular back in the day. Companies hosted contests, video competitions, and so you would film a entry on YouTube and submit it and hopefully win. And so that's what really got me involved with posting videos. Instagram wasn't around, which is a crazy thing to think about.
And a lot of
now.
Stuff went up on company Facebook pages.
Yeah, Facebook company walls where
that's funny.
That's where you would share.
History.
That would share your edits, your tricks, and talk with other people. And so yeah, I was sharing on YouTube and entering these online contests.
So Kenco had a contest.
And then Kenco had a sponsorship contest. And so the sponsorship contest, I submitted. I threw together some clips. Like half the video was not for the video. It was clips that I had that hadn't been posted, and I stitched them together and added a couple more tricks to the edit. Did some really goofy, hey, my name's Chad, you might link to the video in the
should I?
Yeah, you gotta link the video. I was just being a goof.
I'll put it in the description.
I was being a goofball. I was not expecting to win, and they chose me to be sponsored. They had a Zen team, which is their flow team, and then they had the pro team, and so I was just kind of, you know, like put the video out there, seeing what I could do, and they liked it.
So let's talk about a little bit
Yeah.
how you're fit on Kinko. Like, I remember thinking about it back in the day that you didn't seem like the type of person that Kinko would sponsor.
For sure, Kinko had a vibe, and if any of you guys know the OG Kendama team, they're just kind of like rambunctious, rowdy, you know, do whatever, whenever, and
like kind of punk, kind of like.
yeah, it's definitely. They were definitely like. What's the word? Like outliers, I guess, in the outsiders, right?
Yeah,
That's like the Kendama outsiders, right? There was this very, you know, everyone had their teams, and then Kendama was just like explosive, right?
Yeah. And that's Jake Fisher was on that as well. Did he come in after you? Or?
Jake Bonds both got sponsored at the same time as me.
Got it.
But they went straight to the pro team because
it's Jake and Bonds.
Yeah. But they were also literally entered like, I'm gonna win this. I entered like, it'd be tight if I got some free Kendamas.
And the reason I set up like that is because I wanted to go into talking about how you were kind of like a wild card picking away, and it's because
probably all the videos I was posting on YouTube.
That helps. That's one component. So what I wanted to talk about a little bit. Timer's up.
Coffee time.
What I want to talk about, and I can go on my little speech while he's doing that. Companies are looking for a lot of different things when it comes to sponsorship, and so if we think about Kinko's pickup, and this is, what did you say, 4 or 5 years ago? 6 years ago, really, in 2019.
Yeah, 2013. Yeah.
So
6 years.
at the time, they picked up Bonds and Jake, who I would say, no offense, you know, to you, it's a big skill pickup. These are two guys who are very, very, very technically skilled at Kendama. And then you look at Chad, and you've got somebody who's got two things going for him in that arena. Is he was pretty good at Kendama. He was learning pretty quickly, so you know you got that side of the skill covered. But he's also posting frequently.
And I was hosting competitions at the time.
That's a big one. Hosting competitions, and then third, he was showing a lot of personality, which I think a lot of people kind of struggle with through edits. You know, they kind of think, okay, I got to hit these tricks, and then, you know, get some good shots, post it, see what happens. And I think, like, Chad showing his kind of goofy side warmed the hearts of Kinko, and it definitely helped him out a little bit. So let's go for some coffee real quick.
Sumatra.
Get this green pepper.
Interesting.
Man.
Tart.
You know what's weird?
Tart for sure. I'm getting the tart note.
So green pepper to me, I'm not feeling like boom green pepper, but if I compared it to Soul Blend, it definitely feels more like veggie.
Okay,
like, I can definitely feel a little bit more of that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We need to do what the wine tasters do and just get a green pepper and just crunch onto it and then just like drink some coffee and see if
it would come right out.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I really taste green pepper. I don't know if it's the pepper or
Pine
it's the
sear
coffee.
tart green pepper. I feel that's kind of right on the money. If you were to ask me, you know, not seeing these, I'm not sure that I would come up with these.
We should try that. That'd be a fun
We'll
video.
do a blind. We'll do a
blind
coffee taste test.
And of course, this is without any sugar or milk or anything, which is, you know, it's fine. I usually don't drink it like that.
This is the only way to drink coffee.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. Personally, probably bigger on the Soul Blend, but that's just because it's Soul, you know. Yeah. Sumatra's got something going for it. It's nice, you know.
Yeah,
but like,
so this is single origin, which means it's one country. A blend is obviously a variety of countries, and so plus a medium roast. You know, you're right in the middle between the extremes,
right?
Of the light and the dark. So it's a good place to sit, especially if you're not sure.
I guess you could say my heart is just in Soul. More than it is in Sumatra.
It's really just the Soul blend.
Yeah,
right?
probably. Yeah. Soul will be uncontested in my mind.
Yeah. So where do we leave off?
Yeah. I was talking about team compositions, and so
that's right.
For companies looking at sponsoring players, I'd like to say there's really a few different things that they look for, and you can add to it as you see fit. So I'd say the technically skilled stuff, so you're hitting really crazy tricks and stuff like that.
The Bonds,
and I'll say
the Jake.
That's right, and I'll say that's actually one of the hardest characteristics to reach for, because people who are already at the front of the game are still pushing it to keep going further and further and getting more skill. But you have people who are just obsessively practice and get obsessively good. And Alex Mitchell is a fine example. So he's very technically skilled, and so that's one characteristic I think companies look for. Another one is your frequency of your posting and the quality, a little bit of both. More frequency than quality, which I think would surprise a lot of you. But like, if you're just Instagram story every single day putting something up, that's something you're putting up.
Goes a long way.
Which
yeah.
I would put that kind of under the characteristic of attention. Like, how much are people paying attention to you? And there are multiple ways you can go about like getting more attention. Like, you can make a coffee show or something like that, or you can go out and kind of really integrate within the community and leave comments on other people's pages, and you know, you kind of just make friends, you know, and people are paying more attention to you. And then I'd say like maybe like creativity. I think of like
absolutely.
I think of Ballard, and he's really good at kendama too.
Yeah, so he's one of those that have like two of the traits.
But think about the resources they have with him on the team. He's filming and he's editing, which is it's going to be really good. And he's also lacing. So that it's just a fine example. Can you think of any others?
So another one recently sponsored by Chrome Kendama, Yak Bear. If you've seen him on the freestyle stage, I mean, his tricks are just completely like unconceptional to us. I mean, if you just to watch what he's doing and understand it is just out there.
Mind blowing.
Yeah, he's a really good example. See, another thing,
creativity. So what you were just talking about is you were hosting events. Now this is a great way to get sponsored if you're consistently hosting, because it demonstrates that you've got a skill that is valuable to companies. Companies host events, they do that kind of thing about the border we talked about in the last episode. And like with Chad, if you think about it, like if Kinko still existed, if Chad didn't make the move off of Kinko and onto Soul and all this kind of thing, if he was still in Kinko and he was still hosting events, who's to say that Battle at Border isn't a Kinko event? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And how much of an asset would they be to Kinko? You know, it's really thinking about what it means to the company. And that's just how it works. Like, you might not like the sound of that, but like that's just how a sponsorship works. And we can kind of get into the nitty gritty of like what the work means as a sponsored player next, if you'd like. Like when you were in Kinko, what did that look like? So
for Kinko, it was kind of Daniel Robinson was my like team manager. Shout out D-Ro.
Shout out
D-Ro. He would always say to me, "You get in what you put out," and so it's
true about everything.
It's pretty much he's like, whatever you do for us, you will receive in return, and I mean it's true. I mean. Out the gate, I think Fisher and I got flown to Spokane, Washington, and
which might not happen if it's out of the gate. You know, usually you don't work up the kind of hey, I've posted all these videos for 3 months straight. Can I get a flight here? Okay, sure. You know what I mean? It's not like hey, you're sponsored, go fly.
Yeah.
Don't come in with that expectation because it's not normal.
It was so the way the team had been formed. The majority of the players were actually from the Washington, Portland area.
That's right.
The West Coast.
So that's
me and Jake were the only ones over here.
Both in Kentucky.
And Jake was young. He couldn't travel without some, like older. I don't want to say chaperone because we're only like 4 years. We're only 4 years apart, so it's not that like outlandish, right? And so like I had met his parents, and so they paid for his full flight, and then they paid for half of my flight. And then they paid for all of our hotel and food while we were there, which is like, again, like
covers
so
everything.
Exceptional.
Yeah.
But Konamiko was the host of the event. And,
so it's kind of their home ground, like home court, and like, have your team there.
And I mean, granted, Jake got first in that event, I got second. It was a team event, and so like they flew us out and we provided,
And another thing is it's like team building as well. So like I know like
that was the first time that we had all kind of
together,
been together,
which is really important because you can only get so much over video chat, Google Hangouts, Skype, that kind of thing. But yeah, you mentioned this, and just to go back in the conversation of it, another characteristic would be like geographic location. That sounds kind of like a weird thing because it's not as much something you can control, but it's still really important. In Kinko's specific instance. They've got all these players in Washington and Portland and Seattle, that kind of thing. They're all just, boom, up there in that side of the country. Now, what do you do if an event's in Florida? Do you fly everybody from Washington down to Florida, or do you fly some from Kentucky to Florida? And even then, they weren't very geographically diverse anyway. Added two people from Kentucky.
Bonds was in Colorado, and then most of the other guys were in the, like, Idaho, Washington, Oregon.
Yeah.
I
think if you look at some of the other teams, like you can see a lot more focus on like getting people from all over the country. And another thing to add to that is if they start doing events and jams, you're hoping that you can bring in people from those areas to create new hubs of kendama. I mean, like you did the Go Jam in Nashville, which we talked about last week.
Go Jam.
Yeah, and And that went well, but that, for example, that's just like a Nashville thing. And if he wasn't here, that's probably not something that would happen. And like Lyndon helps out with the Georgia Jams, as an example. And like if that's something that you're contributing to the team, that's something they look for. It helps out a lot.
And while we're on the topic of jams,
sure,
we receive a lot of emails about sponsorship for jams, and I just want to say, like, you can have a jam without having prizes. It's just meeting up, hanging out with other people, playing kendama, having a good time. And so I think there's a very defined, like, jams and events are two very different things.
It's easier to sponsor events than it is jams.
Yeah, you receive a lot of requests, and so it's almost, you have to prioritize, like bigger events where you're going to have more people, you're going to have more structure, and then jams, which is more of an opportunity for you to meet up, hang out, have fun. Which events are the same way, just on a larger scale, really. And, and jams happens so often. Like if you're having a weekly jam, to have prizes every single week is difficult, And if you have the same group coming every week, it's kind of the same group winning prizes every week, and that gets to be kind of difficult on our end to help support, because we like to support, but it is difficult every single week to give prizes. Whereas like bigger events that happen once a year.
And new jams, I'll say like new jams, for example, like I think like Hollow Kendama in Canada, they started up a jam.
It's a monthly jam, once a month, which is...
So that's a little different, because it's not a weekly thing, it's a monthly thing, and kind of in a new area, and so sponsoring something like that, just to kind of get it going. Get some people who joined the jam for the first time who don't have hardly any kendamas, get them another one. Feels good, it's fun, it adds to the first experience, first impression, and I think it brings them back in, but like a weekly thing is obviously different. So back to teams.
We're talking competitions, teams, sponsorship in general.
So let's talk a little bit about our team composition, because I think you and I have been very careful about who we've picked and like very thoughtful about it. And I think like right now it feels like we have such a good team. I just love our team, and
great team.
They're the best.
We love our OG team too. We love our OG.
They're all
team.
great. And so talk a little bit about like what was our thought process first of all
initially
when we were thinking about getting a team.
So. Cool thing about us, so we've been around now for a little over 4 years.
4.5, really.
4.5 right now. June 6, 2014. Write it down. Save the date.
Save the date.
So we actually existed. We chose to exist as a kendama company for 1 year before sponsoring people, and that was just so we could begin to form the company, the brand, before we got other people involved. And so we started. We got some structure, created some good ideas, and then decided to host the contest where we had 2 rounds. First round was kind of like show us who you are and show us some tricks. We selected a group of people. I think it might have been like 12. I can't remember the exact number.
I can't remember either.
But from those 12, from all of the entries, we narrowed it down to 12 who went into round 2, and it was kind of like, all right, week. You go all out on the tricks, and was it a week?
I think it was like a week or like 2 weeks, and I don't know why.
It might have been 2 weeks, but that's savage. A full edit.
I think we actually almost killed Evan DeRuby.
Evan. Sorry.
He put a lot of effort into the first one, and then he's like came at us later when he was sponsored. He's like, guys, I just released that edit. I was super pumped. I couldn't wait to see the results. And I turned on Instagram or YouTube, and they're like, congrats, you made it through, crank out another edit. It's like survival or something. It's like,
but I mean, it's also a testament to like...
And he got it out. I mean,
it's a testament to, can you,
pull out something, without a whole bunch of planning, a whole bunch of work, still make something that looks pretty decent. And,
because sponsorship is difficult. I mean, everyone... You're either in school, you have a full-time job. You might be in school with a full-time job, and to understand that you've got to be.
It's a balance.
It's a balance, and so the fact that they were able to crank out that edit in such a short span is like incredible.
That was mean.
But the times have changed. So from that those 12, we selected 6. And we put 3 players onto the flow team, which is a kind of like a secondary team, and then
to the pro team.
The pro team is that's the bread and butter right there, right? I guess that's the bread. The flow team's
that's the
butter.
Bread. That's the bread.
The pro team is, everyone knows what a pro team is, and so we had 3 guys on the pro team, 3 on the flow team, and that's how we initially structured the team. And the idea is you've got the pros, who are the ones generally older, generally
ideally more responsible,
more skilled. Again, generally, because we've talked about the different traits that you're looking for teams and sponsorships. So that's how we initially structured the team. Those two
and I think I would say we dialed in more on personality the first time we were going through, and that was aside from seeing what they could do in the edit. It was very important to us to have people that we just loved having on the team, because we knew that if you got people you individually love, and of course there's two of us, that that the team will mesh well, because these are people that have good personalities, they have good character, they are role models and that kind of thing, and if they would come together and work together, it's only better, right? And so I think we dialed pretty hard on the personalities, and the team has changed over time. Lyndon is the only person who's still on the team who started with us, and the team has changed now, and as we were making a transition to a new team, one thing we thought about was how, say, Lyndon or someone who's been on the team for some time could help transition new members into the team. And we love the idea of like a type of mentorship, and it's not something that we focus on. So we don't have like an official program to like give people. I don't want to make it sound like it's like school, but like in subtle ways, like the older ones and the more mature ones, and kind of help bring them into the team. And like I know if we bring someone on the team, Lynn and Kevin, really everybody's going to say, hey, how you doing? Good to have you on the team. And then when they're hanging out, it's like they've been friends for 10 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's really important to us. And I think at this point, when I'm looking at our team and I'm thinking about who's on there and that kind of thing, I'm thinking, man, we did a really good job, and like the team has done a really good job with each other and with themselves. And like seeing how they've changed over time too is just amplified how I feel about our selection and that kind of thing.
Yeah. And so from that initial team, we had some players, maybe they just, in life, they're not focusing on kendama.
They're moving on.
Do other things, and that's completely fine. We want to support people in whatever they want to do, and so they've chose a different path of their life that kendama maybe wasn't a part of, and so as some players left, we were finding others. I think Kevin was the first that we added who wasn't initially part of that core group, that 6 players. And being as Kevin had a good following before, he was from another team. He is very skilled.
There's a new area for us, Las
Vegas. New events. So it was just.
He had good ideas too.
He literally hit every single point of sponsorship you would want.
I'll say like Kevin's like very much an idea guy. He's an idea guy.
So
he's got a bunch of cool and I don't know how you'll feel about me talking about this talk, but. So he was on UMU at the time, and he was coming over. Was it at Battle at the Border he was going to come to? He was flying into?
So he was attending Battle at the Border 2000, I think it's 16.
So he was coming in, and
16.
I actually drove out to the airport to pick him up because Chad was occupied doing event things, and we sat down and we got some lunch. I think we got some gyros. It was like some Greek food or something. We were just sitting down and talking, and really in a way I felt like I was interviewing him. And it wasn't like we weren't having a normal conversation, but in the back of my head I'm thinking, okay, does he host events? Like, what does he do? That kind of thing. And I was really kind of quizzing him on like his mindset behind being sponsored. And I could just tell, he was considering like moving on and that kind of thing. And in my head, I'm like, I would love to have Kevin on the team. Like that just immediately came into my...
He was frustrated because he was dealing with a lot of issues with his previous sponsor that out of his hands, completely out of his hands.
A sponsorship is a two-way street.
Yeah. And
it's got to be 2 ways. And so like in the conversation, I was just thinking in my head like, wow, it'd be great to have Kevin on the team. And while I'm talking to him, I'm like, yep, that makes sense. That's good. I was just checking off all my boxes, And when he came onto the team, he at the time was seeking a pro model. Of course, we had just put on a pro, and we hadn't done a pro model yet, and we weren't quite ready for it. But we did do the vibes.
Yeah.
And so
player inspired.
Right. It was just
Kendamas.
right. Exactly.
They have basically they have a part in the design of the Tama, and each of them. It's not a pro model. It's not a player model.
It's not a mod.
It's literally designed. It's just the players have designed. Kendamas.
It's basically them as a kendama.
That's a pro model. No, so they just they've inspired the design for the kendama, and so
yeah, and so
Lyndon designed this guy.
So
right up there.
Kevin came into the team, and at the time he had an idea for a pro model, and he had given me the design for it. He's like, hey, this is what I like to do, and that's what became the Slice of Paradise. And it had a bunch of really cool engravings and stuff on it, but we weren't quite there for the wanting to do that for the vibes. It's so much more customized. But anyway, so yeah.
That was like his second or third rendition of a pro model.
Dude he's got the ideas
for Yumu, and he never got it. They just wouldn't. It wasn't.
It just
happening.
didn't work out that way. But anyway, so Kevin, one thing he does, and love you, Kev, he always comes up with ideas for who he wants on the team. The dude would put everybody in Kendama on our team.
You get a sponsorship. You get a sponsorship.
He's the Oprah of team sponsor. Look at her chair. You've got a sponsorship. But so it'd be fun to talk about like what exactly. Let's lay it out very specifically about what a player needs to do if they're interested in getting sponsored. What they need to do to get sponsored.
Great. So
start with the content.
Yeah, so posting, it's very important that you are filming tricks and posting them. Right now, Instagram is a great place to do that, but it wasn't always. Back in the day, YouTube was, and today YouTube still is a great way to share your tricks, usually in the form of an edit. So initially, filming and editing tricks and videos for Instagram, YouTube.
And YouTube. Very important to get on all the mediums.
There can be other outlets as well.
Yeah, go across the full way. Don't focus only on Instagram. Don't focus only on YouTube.
Yeah.
Hit it all.
I mean, this is 2019. Like IGTV is
IGTV's
on the way up. We're not really sure. Maybe that's the way to go.
I still think
maybe in 2022 we're all on IGTV exclusively. You know.
And if you've been posting on IGTV and then people move over to IGTV, suddenly you've got a huge following. I think it would be really cool to do like a portrait edit. I would love to see one. I think it would be really cool, like a POV or something like that just fits on IGTV. Like if I can watch it like this, I'd like to do that. Just saying. But
yeah.
So posting.
So yeah, that's initially posting tricks.
Don't focus on perfection.
And that can be difficult tricks, creative tricks. It can be creatively difficult.
Creative edit that
so maybe
integrates the tricks in a way.
Maybe you're doing Around USA, but the way that you film it and edit is just like exceptional, and that can all be packaged into one, like just posting tricks, but it has so much beyond that.
I'd like to make a suggestion. You should go watch the Herding Cats edit, which is on YouTube. It was filmed. It was a juggler. I don't know his name.
Was it a juggler or a yo-yo player?
A yo-yo player. Sorry, that's what it was. Yeah, and it's really good, and it's an example of one that's just it's just very fun and lighthearted. And it might not be like it was technically difficult because there's a lot of string tricks, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But that's not the reason it was so great. It was great because it's kind of it tells a story. It feels fun. It's just entertaining. And so if you need an example of like something that's just fun and fresh, that gets your mind off of just, oh, I have to do just tricks. That's a good example.
Yeah, and so a second one, I think it's very important being involved actively in a local kendama community. And I understand if you don't have a local kendama community, because when I started playing, like there's 2 other guys, that was it.
You know what you do if you don't have a local kendama community? You start one.
Get people into it. So that's very important if you're not currently active in a local kendama community. Start forming one, start getting people into it. It's a long process.
It's a very
difficult,
long process.
But it's so important. And yeah, that's one you'll have to work a little bit harder for. The tricks, you're doing them already. You just got to film them. So that's, I think, a very important thing. What else?
Yeah, I mean, show off who you are, like your personality. Do you do other things? Like, I think about a lot of the Coos guys they were big into skiing and snowboarding.
Yeah, and you can see it.
You can see it.
Yeah.
I mean, even today, they'll still post stuff that's about skiing and snowboarding.
I think that initial team, they were all skiers, and it was just kind of, and of course that's where kendama came through Japan, through skiing, rollerblading, these sports. But decisions to sponsor people is like, man, they snowboard, they ski, like let's add them. They mesh well with the team.
And so I think like just showing off who you are as a person through Instagram and through edits and stuff like that is really good. And then forming relationships with others, like I think it's really easy. It reduces a lot of friction if you've already got a lot of friendship with pros and stuff like that. And that's a very careful thing to do because you can't just slide into pros DMs and be like, "What's up, bestie?
Hey Max, hey Max,
hey Max, hey Max."
Yeah, definitely don't spam. But again, events is a good place or a good time to meet people, form relationships, and the next event continuing that relationship.
Yeah, it's not something that just happens like this. I like to say it happens all at once, but that's after like all this build up and all the work and everything else.
Yeah. So we've got posting tricks,
content.
Yeah, so content
with frequency
content.
over multiple
and that
mediums.
That could be photographs too. It doesn't have to be. I said tricks, but posting really great pictures of that company's kendama, that company you want to get sponsored by, like they'll repost, your good photo, hopefully.
Which will help you with your intention. I mean, it really works all together.
Yeah. So yeah, you've got content. You've got getting involved with the community.
Events.
Which is like, being in events, going to events, hosting events, getting people into kendama.
Personality.
And personality, show off who you are, what you like doing, and making sure people understand who you are beyond just the.
And if you can win a competition. If you win KWC and you're not sponsored, you've got good odds.
Yeah, you've got great odds.
It's not going to hurt you.
I think another very important thing. We talked a little bit about hosting events. That kind of goes into being active in local communities.
Sure, I'll give another example.
But doing things, just involving yourself with kendama beyond the.
So I'll shout out Dave Scher. We've talked about Dave kind of just off camera and stuff like that. He does an excellent job. He posts on YouTube quite frequently. I think that's really his space, and he does a really good job. And he just has fun with it, I think. Like, if you look at Dave and you watch what he posts, I feel like he's enjoying it,
He is, yeah.
And I think it extends...
Alex Mitchell, oh my gosh.
Dude, how did he even do that? I don't know. Doesn't make sense. But he has fun with it, and I think, like, it helps him, too, in his kendama career, because it's kind of, like, extending it out in a way. He's not going to burn out by just playing a whole bunch of kendama. Because he's taking breaks.
And he's really good at kendama.
He's also good at kendama.
That's crazy.
So it all goes together, and I think there's just many ways to do it. There's no solid, firm answer, but if you stick to these kind of ideas and that kind of thing, it's definitely going to improve your odds. That said, even if you do everything right, if you do everything you should be doing, and you don't get sponsored, sometimes the timing's just not right.
That's true. Teams.
It's like with regular relationships, everything can go right. It's still just not the right time, and like. Maybe a team doesn't need somebody else on the team at the moment. Maybe they're working on something behind the scenes you don't know about that just would create confusion, and maybe the team has gotten too big. There's a whole host of reasons why it might not work out. And I don't think you should be disappointed even if after all that work and everything else, because it's like working on a piece of art or something else. It's really, not to be cliche, but it's like about the journey. Like you've gotten better at kendama. You've probably got more of a following. You've had fun at a lot of jams. You've made a lot of good connections and friendships and that kind of thing. And like, that's more valuable than being sponsored.
Patience
is also key.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting because and we've seen it just, through we had original 6 and we've lost 5 of those, and now we're back to a team of 7, and it's like, that's crazy. We lost 5 and then gained 6 in the span of 3 years. It's been 3.5 years.
Yeah.
That's such a short amount of time in kendama.
But that's how it works too, which could give hope to other people. Maybe teams are going to keep shuffling. I mean, you just don't know.
I could definitely see in the next, even just the next year or two, Kendama USA Sweets, their teams are going to be changing a lot, and maybe ours as well. You never know. If someone today decides I want to take up, I don't know, rock climbing is coming to my mind right now. I want to take up rock climbing. They just lose interest in kendama. Then, if that's what they're doing, then we want to support them in that. But that could open up a spot on the team in the next year. You never know.
Yeah, and I think being on a team too can create a lot of opportunities. And so even if you look at it from oddly a career standpoint, I think there are things you can learn. There are definitely opportunities to be had. People to meet, if you meet somebody who plays kendama, Chad, for example, when you went to travel to Japan for the first time, that whole thing happened because of a relationship you made.
Yeah. Met Shimao at MKO in Minnesota.
Which led to a whole bunch of
lived
stuff.
Lived in Tokyo for 2 months.
Yeah,
what?
And now the coffee shop you visited.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing, it's very cool. And so it's something that you should consider, and if you're serious about it, take it seriously and think about it, but don't obsess over it.
Yeah, and you talked briefly about talking like it was a career, and there are sponsorships that have led to full-time jobs and careers, and we've seen some come and go. But a good example, like Cooper right now is working for Sweets, and like 4 years ago he wasn't. I think he might have just gotten sponsored, but like 4 or 5 years ago wasn't even sponsored. Now is working full-time for Sweets, and that's a rare occasion.
That is a rare occasion.
He's so talented. His skilled tricks, like he's very very good. But then he's really good at filming and editing. He's a creative mind, and the thing is, Kendama can take you to that place if you're wanting it to take you there. You can prove yourself, work for it, and you can get that.
Yeah, agreed.
So I think there's a lot of people that would like that. Man, Kendama full time. It sounds great,
fun,
but you can do it.
It's still work. You can keep that in mind.
It is so much work, and it's not going to happen in 2 months.
Yeah.
I mean, for Cooper, it's a 5, 6, 7 year journey.
It's a long term.
Yeah, it takes a long time. So you can do it. You got this.
What motivation! Here, let's give everyone a thumbs up. Meme worthy. You got this. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap up. I appreciate you guys watching episode 2. It means a lot to us that you're watching and enjoying and joining us in the conversation. If you could just go ahead and leave a comment below. Tell us what you think. I'd love to hear what you'd like to hear us talk about. Once again,
topics.
Blake, Blake, thanks for letting us think about this idea.
Dive into sponsorship.
Exactly. It was a fun thing to talk about. Get to brag about our awesome team. So if you got any ideas of what you'd like to hear us talk about, we'd love to hear that, and we'd love to share it. And we'll be popping in the comments too to talk to you guys.
Yeah. So if you maybe have a question about sponsorship or teams that didn't get answered, comment, and then we'll answer that question hopefully through text in the comments. If you have ideas for future topics, drop those in the comments.
I'm going to put some other links down there too, things we've talked about, like Chad's edit to Kinko and
Kinko edit.
Yeah, Dave Shear's channel, some other stuff. But thanks for watching. You can find us on Instagram, at Chad Covington, at Shelton II, and at Soul Kendamas. Thanks for tuning in, guys.